cat shotgun ready to go. Welcome and welcome back. We made it to 2026. It was a long dry spell that we had to endure with no UFC fights, but we're here. We are ready for UFC 324. Almost everything was going according to plan. Got a few hiccups here and there, but we still got a really fun card ahead of us to start out 2026. Welcome to the new year. Yay. So let's give this one a dynamic breakdown, talk about all our fights. Shout out to all of the MMA media outlets. There's so many. We all got to work together to hold this thing up, am I right? We've got some great interviews leading up. Not everybody, but hey, we got a lot of people to hear from and what's been going on in their minds as of late. So shout out Talking Hands, MMA Junkie, Area Helwani and the boys. They help make this thing possible and platform our fighters in a way that they really deserve. Paramount Plus, here we are. We've got 13 bouts on our hands. Everything was almost perfect, but we still got 13 really strong fights. Our main event is the interim lightweight belt that is on the line. What does this really mean? Right? What does it mean? We know what interim means because we have some vacated situations and we're wishing Ilya all the best. But what are the real impacts for the lightweight division with this fight? How do these moving parts really tell the story of where the lightweight division is heading? We got Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett fighting for this belt. This is not Gaethje's first time in this position, but this is Paddy's first opportunity at any UFC belt. This card is completely stacked. We have all ranked matchups into the main card, and those rankings bleed their way into the prelims. But of course, we lost a really big fight. We gotta wish Kayla Harrison a quick and good recovery through a very sad, tearful video. We have found that Kayla Harrison is full on neck brace, and she is out of UFC 324, which was supposed to be the return of Amanda Nunes. Really sad stuff. And so that means that Sean O'Malley and Song Yadong is bumped to the co-main event spot. And you know what? So sick, dude. That is a really great co-main event. Of course that fight could be its own main event. So we still got a lot of great fights, but it's just sad to see Kayla being injured, and we just hope that she is doing okay. Everybody send her positive messages. And shout out to Natalia Silva for stepping in place of Alexa, who is also injured. So we got to wish her well as well. It's unfortunate that fight, though, with Rose Namajunas. It's got a really interesting story now, a little bit of Taekwondo off. So we saved that fight, lost a really big matchup, though, and it's very unfortunate to see Kayla Harrison all the way in a neck brace. We can't have everything, right? We can't have it all. We can't have every single fight perfectly work out. Something has to go wrong, right? Wrong. It didn't have to go this way, but it is what it is. We have got some early prelims to start ourselves off. Not a lot of fights on the actual prelims or regular prelims, but lots of early prelims to go over, so let's talk about them. First up, we got a welterweight matchup between Adam Fugitt and Ty Miller. Adam Fugitt of Eugene, Oregon, originally got into the UFC because he saw it on TV in middle school. He then got really interested in wrestling and had to persuade his parents to let him give it a go. Adam Fugitt's blue-collar beginnings have him working at a truck stop, and he made it work till he found his way to a BJJ gym and then eventually to Muay Thai after establishing that wrestling foundation in his youth. But it was tough to get on the wrestling mats for him. He remembers being too nervous to go in. It's a lot of chaotic energy, as he put it, and he's got some shyness for some new spaces. But he embraced it, he found his bravery, and he got in there, and he was addicted immediately. And he describes wrestling as a bit of a love at first sight moment. But Muay Thai was a little bit more difficult. So after meeting Jason Georgiana, who owns the Art of War MMA gym, Jason, he saw something in him for sure. And specifically, Adam was able to persevere through the struggles that he had. It was tough getting Muay Thai, didn't come as naturally to him. And eventually we made our way to MMA. We got a southpaw in our hands. He found himself a championship at the mid-down throwdown. Okay, let's go. Little LFA moment. And now he's been here in the UFC since 2023. and it has been a 2-3 run so far. Not exactly an easy road for the old Fugster, let me tell you. So making your debut against Michael Morales, who we all know where he's at right now, pretty tough shot. I mean, not only that, but he made his debut against Michael Morales on 9 days' notice. So we love Adam for that. He's a gamer. He's had 2 canceled fights, unfortunately. Before his fight with Dulatov, he had a couple of canceled bouts. It's been a little bit of injury, but he is here making it work. We still got some time on our hands for sure. And the thing about Adam is he's going to make it wild. He's going to make it crazy. He's very well-rounded, obviously bringing that wrestling base, but he's a bit cuckoo crazy in the best way possible. He's very kickish, and he likes to use that range. Also, he's a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and that means he's cool with me. And he also loves Mexico, so he's double cool with me. And he believes fighting is like his yoga. A quote from him is, they look at the sports that we do, the combat sports, for any of them that look at it and go, what the heck is wrong with people? Just know it's as much of a physical meditation outlet for me as weightlifting or yoga. So yes, fighting is Adam's yoga. And he'll be going against Ty Miller, the thriller, who was born in the year 2000. Not much has changed except we have AI. And thumbs down to that, am I right? Yeah, Ty is a bit tall for his division, so we'll see how that affects him in his later career, because as we get a little bit older, it gets a little bit harder to cut all that weight and such. He is from the Dana White's Contender Series here, making his debut from Albuquerque, New Mexico, not having to go too far over to the old Las Vegas. And he is coming off of a decision win in his Dana White's Contender Series performance. It was very much so a war. I mean, he threw everything but the kitchen sink, and we love to see that. He was definitely looking for the knockout throughout that entire fight. Didn't manifest it, but came tough as nails and made it work. Continued his 9-fight win streak and has had nothing in Sublandia. Really finding that decision grind is kind of who he is. But again, always looking for that finish when he's in there. And he's been locking in on that southpaw game plan. He has been studying for a southpaw moment, says that he has been exclusively training with southpaw partners. So he has been getting lefty, lefty, lefty. And he is definitely a walk you down fight. He's a pressure fighter, pressure 101. And we have seen him escape from some pretty tough positions on the ground in particular. So he has been on his back, not looking good, managed to scramble his way back up. So we got a lot of toughness, durability, and scrap going on for Ty Miller. And he really loves supporting his kids' hobbies. That's what he likes doing in his free time, is just doing whatever his kids want to do, supporting them on their ventures. Pretty cute stuff. Great way to start things out. We got Adam needing to bounce back from a not so fun looking knockout loss, looking to get back into the win column, and Ty Miller looking to make his first ever UFC statement. This is the first ever UFC fight on Paramount Plus. Pretty fun stuff. I bet Adam is feeling like he's got to show this veteran experience, right? He's got 11 years on his opponent. So a bit of a different place that these guys are in, but still carving their UFC path. I love this fight because both these guys are very game. They're very ready to go. They both have a very wild flame inside of them that can be ignited. I know we're going to get a lot of pressure from Ty, and I feel like Adam's going to like that. He's going to embrace it. He's going to go crazy with it, and we're going to start this night out really fun. Next up is a bantamweight fight between Cameron Smotherman and Ricky Turcios. Ricky Turcios has his black belt in Taekwondo as well as BJJ, and he comes with that Chaos Tornado for sure, but not just that. He's also Super Smash Bros. Legend. So he has got the skills in the cage and on the console. Let's go. He made his way to a Fury FC Bantamweight Championship before auditioning for TUF and then actually winning the whole thing. So congratulations to Ricky for being the TUF 29 champion, and has now been carving his way in the UFC. It's been a little up, a little down, but we're finding our way. Coming off of a decision loss to Sopaj, and that was Scrap City for sure, so it showed a lot of really good resolve. Ricky finds himself in the decision moment all around, so it's the majority of his wins and the majority of his losses. Pretty durable guy. Very, very sub-rare on both ends, so just keeping that in the hush-hush. Of course, Dragon Ball, right? It's adding up with the Super Smash Bros. And Dragon Ball. That's part of his inspiration. Ricky also has a lot of coaching experience, so he's got that mind dialed in. And he is willing to, as he put it, fight to the bitter end. And you're going to get that energy from Ricky for sure. Kind of similar energy to the last gentleman we talked about. He's very much so, live by the sword, die by the sword energy when need be. And you can see him enjoying it when the fight gets pretty gritty. And he's going against Cameron Smotherman, the babyface killer who's coming in representing that thug jitsu, actually trained by Eve Edwards, who not always appearing in his corner, but is definitely one of his coaches and mentors, who is the thug jitsu master, if you're not aware, kind of cemented the world of thug jitsu and just in general that type of body movement and attacks to the body as well. We found Cameron Smotherman through the Dana White's Contender Series, but it didn't go his way, so we had to have a bit of a Fury FC moment. Had 4 wins over there, and bada bing, bada boom, back to the UFC, and we're trying to find our moment here. So coming off of a decision loss to the old Ricky Simone, and you know how the Simonester is, he's one well-rounded, tough cookie, and Cameron was a short notice fill-in, definitely showing that gamer mentality, and pretty interesting. He's fighting 2 Rickies in a row. Does that mean anything? Maybe. I don't know. It could. 2-fight losing streak, though. So really looking to be bouncing back in the win column. Curious to see how that affects his approach because, he is already a very patient kind of fighter. So maybe he will go for broke a little bit more. Hard to say. Because 50% of his wins come via knockout. Very sub-rare, just like his opponent. And very patient with those knockouts. And everything else coming in the decision pretty much. Again, that thug jitsu, right? He's got that thug jitsu style, so lots of attacking of the body, really prioritizing that. Sometimes the significant strikes may even go further in the body than to the head. And as Cameron Smotherman put it himself, the 3rd round is when things feel like they are really coming together. So I think he's working on trying to put things together a little bit earlier as well, make things more definitive, right? Come up with some maybe better decision outcomes in the future. He's also been training with D. Lopez, and you know how the D. Lopez goes. He is one performance of the night type energy. So great guy to be training with. Both guys, I think, are in a very similar position in their careers. This is a really fun matchup. Makes a lot of sense. We're carving our bantamweight path here. Similar age. Yeah, similar experience level. And they both prefer the stand-up. So I think we're going to see that prioritizing as well in general. I think what I'm most excited to see is if Cameron Smotherman has a little bit more on the gas pedal, because Ricky is kind of a toss-up, is he gonna go in like a flame on fire? It's kind of just like where the wind takes him. Next up, we have a heavyweight fight. Denzel Freeman and Josh Hokit, both coming out of their UFC debut, of which they had success in. Josh Hokit, the Incredible Hulk, is a 2-time Division I All-American wrestler and former linebacker. So coming into the UFC with lots of sports experience, and that linebacker experience really shines through because he really rushes you like one. I mean, hello. That's how I would describe his fighting style. Hello. Yeah, so LFA, Dana White's Contender Series, he is coming off of a right hook TKO, survived through the 1st round, but got it done in the 2nd. It was the right hand that really got him. And Josh Hokit's wins are pretty split between knockout and sub. Definitely an overwhelming, suffocating kind of guy. Has yet to see a decision, never been there. Very vicious ground and pound, see if any submission opportunities open up themselves, or if you just expire right there, maybe that's how it'll go. Chases you very fast. Again, that linebacker energy, always looking very feisty in the face-off. Bit of a strange lad. So not only has he not been to a decision, but he's only been to a 3rd round once. So he is a quick finisher. After his last win, it was very strange. He said, "Walter Walker, you suck." And I go, oh, that's not very nice, sweetie. And kind of going for a bit of the Colby Covington vibes, like just we had the whole get up. He's, I don't know, says that he wanted another Brazilian, didn't get his wish, and a bit of a weird moment. Instead, he'll be facing his fellow countryman, Denzel Freeman, the Lux Fox, a U.S. Marine wrestler, and he is exact same position with his UFC career, coming off of his first ever win, but a very different kind of performance. It was something. So we did get to see Freeman's signature high kick. I mean, boop, boop, that leg was popping up there, but overall, it was feeling very tentative throughout the entire fight. Michael and Paul were getting a little snoozy about it. Paul maybe a little bit more polite. And it was feeling like, as they called it, a technical sparring session, which unfortunately, yeah, I agree. It was not great, very little damage that was happening. We could see though that Freeman is very strong in the wrestling, but just not a very exciting fight. So really hoping to see something more, just more energy. He is on a 3-fight win streak, and as we saw in that fight and in all of Denzel's fight, it is takedown operation. The takedowns are incoming when it comes to Denzel Freeman. He's going to get in there. He's going to throw in the ground and pound, and his only loss is via decision. So far have not been cracked and has been cracking because he's got 56% of his wins via knockout. So it's been going well. First sub ever was this last year. So, we're young in the MMA game. There's lots to be discovered for Freeman for sure, continuing to evolve that game. This is definitely an intriguing matchup. Both these guys so new, second UFC appearance, coming off of a win, very different kinds of wins. Interesting to see how Denzel responds to Josh Hokit, who is quite likely going to be rushing right in and looking to just get things done before they even start. You know how it is. So that'll be curious to see, because I don't think that Josh will allow Denzel to have a similar fight to his fight last time where it was, very tentative, but just curious to see how it goes though, because Denzel has proven to be very durable and he also is a very, very talented wrestler. So will Josh be able to maintain the control that he's been having over his previous opponents? This will definitely be a bit of a challenge. And then we have a really exciting lightweight matchup with Michael Johnson and Alexander Hernandez. Michael the Menace Johnson, shout out St. Louis. Johnson found his way to fighting under unfortunate circumstances. After his father passed away from a heart attack, Johnson was only 10 years old. It was pretty tough things to deal with, and he felt he needed to exert some anger physically. So after, losing such a major part of himself, fighting was kind of his way of almost not dealing with his dad's passing, as he put it. And Michael, in general, is a very talented athlete. So in high school, he was a 3-sports varsity athlete. That is very impressive. And after he had some success in football and wrestling in college, he decided to go for MMA. The Midwest Fight League and Extreme Cage Fighting are where he found a couple belts. And after trying out for Tough a second time, he was accepted in Tough 12, made his way to the finals, and has been here in the UFC since 2010. I mean, that's a legend. That's a legend. We have an absolute legend on our hands. We're talking about how we got a new era for the UFC. We're here in Paramount Plus. We're about to accumulate some new UFC fans who, years down the line, they're going to think, yeah, I saw it for the first time on Paramount Plus. Well, Michael Johnson has been here for a lot of UFC eras. We're talking Spike TV. We're talking Fox. We're talking ESPN. And now here we are. Michael Johnson has shown such an incredible longevity. He's been spared a lot in terms of injury. So that's part of the longevity of his career. But it's also a mystery why Michael Johnson has maintained his youth. Here he is coming off of a decision win against Daniel Zellhuber, who is pretty youthful himself, and Michael Johnson was just so much more effective in there. It was crazy. So now we're on a 3-fight win streak. He has over 5 hours of time locked into the lightweight division. I mean, he has so many knockdowns. Michael Johnson has done so much, so many significant strikes. We're almost at 1,500 significant strikes landed, and he is just not slowing down. It is so exciting to see, and you could hear it from Daniel Zellhuber himself. If you rewatch their fight, when Daniel Zellhuber is going back to his corner, he is saying, wow, he is fast. Yes, Michael Johnson is super fast. He is going to rip to that body, and he brings that love of hard sparring right into the love of fighting. Got a couple takedowns here and there with a really solid defense. So he's going to push those takedowns off and maybe throw a couple in. He knows that decision grind. Again, that average fight time at 11 minutes, 37 seconds within the UFC. That is relatively long. So he is willing to grind it out. But again, we got a lot of knockdowns in there. So he is a threat for that knockout always. And as far as what's next for Michael Johnson when he does decide to be done with the UFC, which is not anytime soon, he's got work to do, he says, but maybe a future in boxing. And he'll be going against Alexander Hernandez, who is now embracing a little Espanol, and we love that for El Gran Chango. The great AP is hanging out with Brandon Royval. They got their own thing together. He used to be at Factory X, but, not anymore. This is, I think, like the third fight that he and Brandon Royval, it's been like their team. He is a BJJ black belt for the UFC. He was the Hero FC champion and has been here since 2018 after a very crazy debut that I do recall. Huge upset against Beneil Dariush. It was the debut upset of the year, crazy KO. And right now is coming off of a KO against Diego Ferreira. And that was a back-to-back. Again, we got 2 right crosses to a ground attack in a row, which brings him to a 4-fight win streak. I'm imagining the confidence is very high. And in general, Alex is looking to grind you out. So he can definitely slow the fight down if need be. When things get a little nasty, we're talking Holobau, we're talking Kurt Holobau, we're going to need to wrap it up. Okay, we're going to need to wrap it up, and that's his plan if things get a little too gritty and yucky. So, yes, he looks like a nice young fellow, but has the capacity to be very, very mean, and has said some things that are frightening, and I certainly wouldn't want him to be my bully. Okay, I'd be a little scared. When he's on, he's on, and that's evidence there as well. He also has a bachelor's in business finance, so he made sure to get his education and then find his way to MMA. Gotta give a shout out to MMA Junkie, of course, but really to the Wayback Machine. Okay, when we were trying to read up about back in the day Michael Johnson, the Ultimate Fighter 12, we need the Wayback Machine because these articles don't technically exist anymore, so we got to go way back, and I highly recommend using this internet archive if you have not. This fight is super fun and exciting because both guys coming in with a streak. Both guys been looking really good, really, really fresh. Michael Johnson, just true veteran, and Alex, he has definitely established himself 100%. These are lightweight baddies at their absolute finest, just expecting to see Alex just radiating with confidence, but Michael Johnson is a menace, as he describes himself. So I am expecting a super fun fight. Curious to see that if Michael really puts on some nasty pressure, if Alex goes for the wrap-up technique. Because if there's one thing Michael Johnson's pretty good at, it's attacking the body, preventing takedowns, and getting you the heck off of him. And then we have our featured early prelim, a flyweight bout between Alex Perez and Charles Johnson. We are battling for a spot in the top 15. Whereas Michael Johnson has had a lot of really good luck, in his own words, with not getting injured, Alex Perez is a bit of the opposite in terms of luck. It hasn't been super lucky for our friend, the decision, Alex Perez. He was a wrestler in college. He was on the first season of Dana White's Contender Series. Made his way to the UFC in 2017. It's crazy that the Dana White's Contender Series has been happening for almost 10 years. I remember when it was created. I remember the Uriah Faber Snoop Dogg days. That's when Alex Perez was making his debut, and he is coming off of a standing gilly loss to Azu Almabayev. That was a very fun fight, super fun finish for Almabayev. And previous to that, he had a knee injury loss, on purpose though, for, shout out to Tetsuro Taira for the intentional knee injury. That was a crazy moment and not a good moment for our friend Alex, and he has really suffered from that canceled bout curse. I mean, I've never seen anybody who's had it worse. We're talking 14 canceled bouts. He was supposed to fight Matt Schnell 4 times. Will we ever get him against the Schnellielli? We don't know. And he hasn't gotten a win since 2020, so much so due to this injury, due to these canceled fights. The flyweight division in general is a little bit, different, very different from the featherweight division where we got 100 people kind of circulating at a very high level. There's just less flyweights, so that can be a good and bad thing. Things are going crazy. So we haven't seen him get a win since 2020. So I know Alex is just getting a little irritated by now. I am sure he is mostly on that decision grind, but then he's got a little bit of everything in between that. He is a performance of the night type, so he's really going to just put on the money. 56% of his losses are via submission, so maybe that's his weak spot. He is happy to make the fight ugly and hectic. Think Cody Durden. Think the Durdinator. He has got takedowns incoming, and he also has a new baby. Congratulations. He comes from a massive family of 8 siblings, and the legacy continues. It was so exciting to see him finally come back in his fight against Almabayev, and that was an incredible fight. I mean, we made it all the way to round 3 before Azu was able to get the submission win, and during that time, Perez just looked amazing. He looked scrappy. He looked hungry. He looked urgent. So I'm expecting that exact same energy. And he'll be going against Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson, happy belated birthday, by the way. Shout out to the pride of St. Louis. We got a few St. Louis representatives. That's cool. And we got so many wrestlers, but that's pretty typical. Of course, wrestling to start. But what's not typical is Charles Johnson is really good at track and field. So he was a 2-time national track champion and was en route to be competing in the Olympics. Things didn't exactly go as planned. It's neither here, nor there. But you may have noticed he does have the Olympic rings tattooed on his back. Perhaps a bit of a preemptive strike. He was a little bit overly ambitious at the age of 18 and decided to get that tattoo before he ever even made it there. But you know what? I respect that because, as he put it, the UFC is essentially the Olympics of MMA. So there you go. He was a steeplechaser, 3,000 meter. He did everything. He did everything, so he says. And I think that that's really cool. And we don't get a lot of track stars in the UFC. So he's been in the UFC since 2022, and it has been stiff and tough competition after a 2-time title defense in LFA, and is coming off of a performance of the night knockout win over Loner Kavanaugh, and that is not the first time that he has fought an undefeated prospect and said, bye-bye, see you later. That's 7 of them. Oh my goodness, what in the world? He is actually the last person to beat Joshua Van, which has been all the talk of the town right now, of course, with Joshua Van being our new president, and our champion with the unfortunate injury situation. Charles had a very, very successful 2024. He is one of the only fighters, I think 3 people who actually went 4-0 during that year. Super successful. And throughout all of his career, he has never been finished. So he has proved to be very scrappy, winning in all the ways. One thing we love about Charles is he's teeping like it's a jab. So expect that leg to be flying up at all times and expect a lot of attacks to the legs. He's going to try to break your legs down. Very happy against the fence, loving the clinch, loves the violence, and been getting in some meaningful reps with Merab. Who better? And he has been working on his farm. He has got chickens now. And he stays pretty humble in terms of the fact that he's the last person to beat Joshua Van, because he says, it was a bit of a while ago. There's still so many people who are threatening and circulating around the top that he is yet to confront. And he considers Alex Perez to be a very important milestone, but he wants to get his hands on everybody. Okay, nobody's safe. Nobody's safe. Not Tyra. Okay, not Cop. Not even Horiguchi. Nobody's safe. And yes, Charles Johnson likened his opponent to Cody Durden, as previously mentioned, and I just completely agree, so I can't help but mention it twice. I think that is pretty true. Alex Perez and Cody Durden both have a wild tornado-like energy to them, and they're willing to take it everywhere and anywhere that need be. They have that gamer inside of them. Charles has so much heart that he puts into this sport. He could easily get emotional about things, which I really love and respect, and he's sticking to his 3 Ps. Prayer, positivity, and perseverance. But he is adding a 4th P these days. We're talking performance. I am so excited for this fight. I think that it's just fun to have more flyweight drama because we can never get enough. And things have just been, oh so dramatic in the flyweight division. And Alex Perez is just in such an interesting spot. I mean, it's been so long since he's gotten a win, but so much due to injury, cancellations, and he was looking so good in that last fight despite not coming out on top. So I know he's going to bring some great energy, and we know Charles brings great energy. We just know we can depend on both of these guys to put on an amazing fight. I would be very shocked and surprised if this was a slow one. I don't think it's going to be slow. I just don't think it's really possible even with both of their mentalities and just how they do things. So we are just going to be in for a great and exciting show with this one. Perfect way to cap the early prelims. And then we have a strange prelim situation with just 3 fights. I'm not sure how that happened, but is what it is. Up first are light heavyweights, Modestas Bukauskas and Nikita Krylov. We got a battle for a top 15 spot in this fight too. Nikita Krylov, the Miner, he actually changed his name to the Miner. It used to be a tribute to Al Capone, his previous name, but now it's a tribute to his homeland. His hometown of Donetsk in Ukraine has a lot of people who are occupationally miners. Nikita Krylov is really interesting because he comes from a Kyokushin karate background, which is pretty rare, and he started doing that when he was 10. His father had a successful career in Kyokushin karate, and he just followed in his footsteps. Lots of kicking, of course. Nikita has had to make his way to the UFC twice. After getting cut in 2017, he went back to the drawing board and found some success with Fight Nights Global, and for about a year and a half was making things happen and negotiated his return. But 2025 was not exactly his year. 2 losses, so looking for that first win since early 2023, and was out for that 2024. Nikita is a finisher, rarely going to decision, just 7% of the wins and 18% of the losses, so it's Chaos City with Nikita. He's looking to bring the heat, bring the flames. It's pretty splitty though, 40% knockout, 53% sub, likes to get really in your space. He has a very diverse striking targets. I mean, with Nikita, it's an absolute storm. It is a storm field. Like, he is just going to throw everything at you. And when he senses his moment, he pounces on it. He is not somebody who's going to see that you're in a little bit of pain and take his time. He's going to throw everything. He's going to, all of a sudden, he may have not been throwing a bunch of knees and all the wackadoos. He's going to start doing all of that all at once as soon as he knows that he has hurt you. And it can become very overwhelming. And that's totally where he shines. And he is also a horse guy. He is going against Modestas Bukauskas, who is a 4-time British kickboxing champion. That is super cool. He, just like his opponent, has had to make his way to the UFC twice. So, he dominated Cage Warriors. We're talking elbows 101. Yeah, got the belt. Enters his first UFC run, and it started with a win, but it ended with 3 losses. So after getting knocked out by Jimmy Crute and then losing a very, very tough decision to Oleksiejczuk, and then a technical decision loss to Roundtree after his leg was injured by Roundtree, Modestas was cut. And he went back to Cage Warriors, got back the belt. So he's been the champion twice. That's cute. Love that for him. Well, that's perseverance if I've ever seen it. And so here we are. He is coming off of a really crazy elbow destruction of Paul Craig. Because again, he loves elbows. He loves elbows. You see that all throughout his career. And that was very, very tough. You know, not the Paul Craig ending that I wanted, since that was his retirement fight. And it was a fight that, it's just a tough watch, because we got the first round to be over, but we didn't get to the second round. Like, we called it quits in between, and that's a tough situation. And after beating Paul Craig in that way, I figured, as many of us did, that a top 15 matchup would be next for him. So here we are on a 4-fight win streak, and he has been 7-1 in his latest run in the UFC. But I must bring up, respectfully, as DC put it, the Montreal screw job. Do you guys recall? So of this 4-fight win streak, one of them is a split decision against Cutelaba. But it looked as if, as Dean put it, that Modestas found himself watching in this fight, that not a lot was really happening. Very, very little offense, and many people felt like it shouldn't have gone his way. So let me know. But either way, it would be, 3-1, if not a 4-fight win streak. So still looking so solid. And especially in that last performance, I mean, ouch. Yeah. 50% of his wins are via knockout, and that is 67% of his losses as well. So a bit of a chaos storm, living in the face of danger, might you say. He's moving a lot, doing a lot of circling, which we like to see that activity, very athletic in there, and just bringing that kickboxing energy. Can be a little bit tentative, though, with the striking. Knows how to be defensive, pretty good at that, and is very happy against the fence as well. If he wins, you might see a backflip. Nikita Krylov probably feels that he is in a tough position, having not been able to get a win in 2025, having to deal with some injury in 2024. It's been a little while since he has come out on top. So, given that he's coming off of knockout losses, not our favorite, do we think that he is going to still stick to that chaotic tornado energy if he senses any hurt in his opponents, or is he feeling like maybe that has not played in his favor. What we do know is he's going to come with a really interesting karate arsenal that I think that Modestas is going to have a bit of fun with, since he's got his kickboxing background. I think we're going to get a lot of moments against the fence. I expect in these moments against the fence that Nikita's going to go for the little body shot moment, get some knees up there. He loves the body. And Modestas loves the elbows. So we should get some creative striking in this one for sure. Then we have a middleweight matchup with Gautier and Andre Pulyaev. At age 19, Gautier moved more than 3,500 miles to Manchester all the way from Cameroon. And the silent assassin has been making quite a name. He's been stirring a lot of talk for someone who is silent. And, he's not so silent. He actually has a real way with words. He's quite a poetic person. There's so many good quotes from Gautier, I'm telling you. He had to leave behind his 6 siblings and his mom and travel all by himself to join Manchester Top Team, where he trains alongside Lerone Murphy and so much incredible talent. He came to us through the Dana White's Contender Series and has been undefeated in the UFC so far. Right now, coming off of an elbow to ground and pound win not too long ago. He's trying to stay very, very active, used to the finish. We're talking 90 or 89% of his wins, 8 knockouts, 8-fight win streak. Super young and has so much to do, and that is definitely his perspective as he's shaping his world. He says he wants to fight 5 times a year. That's probably not advisable, would not advise it. But 2025 was such a good year for him. I mean, he was on my nominee list for Rookie of the Year for 2025. 3 wins, all incredible, and he is just an absolute star. After he beat Rob Valentine, he says on the mic, the only way to survive is to run. I'm telling you, he's got so many good quotes, just so interesting, and he has such a diverse leg game. He's pushing the pace. He's throwing in uppercuts, which we all know. That's the favorite punch on this channel. We love an uppercut. Hasn't been to Subland, but the striking is coming from all angles, and we love it. His only loss is a split decision, so that's another interesting thing as well. And you know what? He may have had an incredible 2025 in terms of his performances in the octagon, but that is not his most treasured moment of 2025. According to the BBC, his most treasured moment is his adoption of 2 twin kittens, Maya and Lily, who were given to him by his coach, Carl Prince. Carl had a feeling that Ateba might be feeling a bit lonely, a bit sad, being away from his family, all alone. It's a pretty crazy journey. So we figured these little cuties could help give him comfort after moving. And Ateba says, I always love animals. I will always be more comfortable in the jungle, the forest, or the wild than in places like Las Vegas with all the lights. This is not the life for me. He loves his little kittens, and his cats have been providing him with the warmth and support to fight and to be so strong. It can be very hard to be all alone, and I just think that is so cute. And we love cats over here, so shout out to Ateba's cats, Maya and Lily. And so many people really believe that this young man is the future of the sport. And again, another really great quote from his, because he's got a real way with words. I always say the sky is my only limit. I haven't taken off yet. I'm still on the ground. So I need to push myself a little harder. That's from the BBC, and oh my goodness, that is just so down to earth and poetic. That turning that phrase of the sky is the limit to him still being on the ground, like that, come on, we're dropping bars. And he'll be going against Andre Pulyaev, who's got his black belt in Kudo, but not only that, he is a college degree pastry chef. Like, we are talking pastry educated. And I am very intrigued by that. Not only that, but he is an expert Counter-Strike player. So we're talking multifaceted. He's got a lot of things going on. He's a Holloway fan, so trying to bring that Holloway energy. He also came to us through the Dana White's Contender Series and is coming off of his first UFC win, a TKO win over Nick Klein. It says round 1, but that is not true. It's round 2, okay? Because the thing is that round 1 was Nick's round. So it was Nick's round on all 3 of the judges' scorecards, but round 2, Andre found a nasty body kick, and it completely shut Nick down. And then he followed it up with a righty, and it was, Nick just crumpled, and it was over. Really a much needed moment. So excited, of course. And in general, knockouts are how he prefers to go. 56% of his wins, ground and pound to make it happen. He made his debut against CLD. And I cannot believe that. That is such a tough matchup. What were we doing with that? At that moment, CLD was on his 7th UFC fight, coming off of a loss to RoboCop. So just like, facing... He's in Baddie Central. Like, CLD is a baddie himself, and he's deeply entrenched in Baddieville. And they're like, hey, you want to fight some guy on his debut? Just kind of interesting, Bit of a weird one. And they are not cutting Andre any slack with this one either, am I right? In that loss that he had to CLD, there was a lot of fence time, and in general, Pulyaev could not find his rhythm. He looked pretty caught up in there, a little bit tired, and to be honest, a bit underweight. Didn't seem like his frame was... It's a little hungry. This fight, I know a lot of people have their eyes on it because Ateba Gautier is many people's Rookie of the Year for 2025. He had such an incredible year and is a prospect that a lot of people know about. A lot of people are talking about him. And so do we think Andre Pulyaev is being sent in here to essentially function as a body, or that there is a strategicness to this matchup? Of course we believe in Andre Pulyaev to get it done because he's got the skill. Everybody here is tough and full of tenacity, but it does seem that there is a lot of hype around Ateba. So if we do think that Andre is going to get it done, what does he got to do? What does he got to do to deal with Ateba's threatening finishing power and with the crispy boxing? Maybe another nasty body kick to shut it all down. And then we have a fight that is interestingly on the prelims when this fight could serve as its own co-main or main event. We have a bantamweight battle for the top 5 with Umar Nurmagomedov and Deiveson Figueiredo. Umar Nurmagomedov, of course, we are familiar with many Nurmagomedov, but his brother is Usman Nurmagomedov, who followed in his footsteps after he took his journey from freestyle wrestling to combat sambo. He won a GF bantamweight belt, had some time in PFL, and made his way to the UFC and has been absolutely looking fresh and fit. Something about Umar's combat sambo experience is he actually was a world champion at the young age of 19. So he's 30 now and he's already done so much in the sport and does have a pretty thick record. Umar has fought some really tough competition and had some really shining performances. He was able to shut down the Sandman Sandhagen, and that is very impressive. I would consider that to be one of his most impressive wins. He almost fought Yadong, which is some interesting drama, but it never came to fruition. And his first UFC loss was his only loss to Merab, which of course was a really fun fight, and he bounced back really well, coming off of a decision win against Mario Bautista, who's one of my favorite fighters, and Mario is just so incredible with the striking, and Umar said, I'm not having that, get over here. That was a high-level roll-around. We're talking 11 takedowns landed at a 78% success rate. What? I mean, he took Mario Bautista around for a ride. He took him around north, south, east, west, and he says, this is my show. And that was a very definitive win, 30-27. I mean, he took control and he said, I'm not doing this whole striking thing with you, Bautista. And Umar he's going to do that. He's going to do what he needs to do. He is one of those people with the MMA IQ that is tapped out, just so much experience. Lots and lots of experience showing on him when he's in there. And he is on that decision grind. You have 53% of his wins, and you're going to see a takedown. You're at least going to see a takedown attempt, but he's so dang good at it that you're likely going to see a success. And in general, it's all about the pressure. He's got nearly 40 minutes of top position logged in the UFC. That's a lot. And we got another horse guy. He'll be going against Deiveson Figueiredo, who is, of course, the God of War, Deus de Guerra, and he came to the UFC after having his jungle fight moment and has been a 2-time championship at the flyweight division, but is now on his new bantamweight leaf. He's coming off of a very tough split decision win against Montel Jackson that was a pretty emotional moment because he broke a 2-fight losing streak and we needed that win. And obviously very tough fight, so tense, split decision. I imagine when it gets announced, it's just like, what a sigh of relief. We know Deiveson is an absolute gamer. That's what he brings to the equation. Never forget the Moreno 4-fight saga epic. We got to bring it up every single time because especially as time passes, it goes further and further into history, further from our minds, but what an epic war and an epic story, and it's never been done. He is establishing himself now firmly at bantamweight, holding on to that number 6 ranking and been looking sassy and classy. MMA mindset, of course. He's going to do everything. We love that. Been there and done that in the cage and in life. So if you didn't know this, he has been a hairstylist. He's been a taxi driver, cowboy, and sushi chef. So we are talking a variety of skills that this man has. And I just feel that when he's fighting as well. It's like he's got it all. He's got every pocket that can be filled. He's going to take it everywhere. It's like there's no place that he's uncomfortable. We like that. Team Alpha Male to Team Figueiredo Gym. This is a really important fight, obviously, with our new co-main event also being a men's bantamweight fight. We got drama, we got moving parts, we got stories to be told. I think that this is going to be really exciting, super engaging. Figgy and Umar are both so well-rounded. I think that that is honestly their defining characteristic. Of course, Umar is known for the wrestling prowess, but we have seen some pretty incredible striking, i.e. Sandhagen. So he has proven himself to be extremely well-rounded, all facets. And Figgy, again, the way that his fights look is, I would say, just so colorful. There's so much happening. He has been everywhere. And I just am so excited to see where this goes because I feel like it truly could go anywhere. And I know we're going to get a good one. Both these guys have a lot on the line. And so far, the only person who has really given Umar trouble has been Merab, coming from an incredible bounce back. I know both of these guys definitely have what it takes to get a nasty decision win, which I do feel a decision is quite likely. Who is going to be the stronger man? Who is going to be able to play the bully? These are the questions we gotta ask, but we know this is going to be a good one. And that is our featured prelim, which brings us to our main card. Up first, a women's flyweight fight between Natalia Silva and Rose Namajunas, a spot in the top 5. Natalia Silva is just a small town girl. She really is. So she is from Pingo de Agua, which is a small town near Ipatinga, Brazil, population approximately 5,000, and small town girl looking to conquer the world. She started her martial arts journey when she was 16, initially through Taekwondo in a voluntary social project. So not expecting herself to become a fighter, but her friends invited her to try MMA when she was 18, and she found her way through Jungle Fight, which she did win a belt in, and you can feel that self-belief, and it carried her all the way to the UFC, where she has been unbeaten. Not only this, but she has shown great resolve, having a fight night win against Andrade, and coming off of a decision win against Alexa Grasso. That is extremely impressive. She brings that Taekwondo black belt into that cage. Quirky, kicky, scary moments. Takedown resilient as well. She has the best currently in the women's flyweight division in terms of her takedown defense. 13-fight win streak overall. It has been just looking incredible for her, winning in all the ways. Fun, fierce, focused, and with that Taekwondo style, we have a lot of that in and out movement. Yes, and she is looking to be brave, be strong. That's her model. Again, that self-belief, I can feel it. That smile, it could light up the earth, and it's all got that self-belief behind it. She is just beaming with a beautiful energy. Beaming with energy, capable of great violence, and so in control. And she'll be going against Thug Rose Namajunas, who also has a Taekwondo black belt and a Taekwondo background. That is her beginnings as well. Shout out to Milwaukee, our Midwest hero. She is named Rose after her granny, so shout out to her granny. If you wonder why she goes by Thug Rose, it has a bit to do with that stare. You've ever seen her throw on the stare. I'm sure you know the stare. She can get very, very intense. She describes herself as never being a witty person. Not sure I agree with that, but in terms of someone to have a comeback, so part of her intimidation tactic is just beating people up who made fun of her or scare them off with the stare, by being all serious. So I think it was her neighbor, actually, who described her as Thug Rose, telling everybody, you see her? That's Thug Rose. She's crazy. So it stuck. In Taekwondo at age 5, so lifelong martial artist. And it definitely shows. And that's what we love about Rose, is it feels like she's been doing Taekwondo since she's 5. It just feels so natural. It's just a type of grace that we don't often witness. And because we got ourselves a bit of a Taekwondo on Taekwondo, Rose says that she's been looking to get in touch with her roots. So if you check out her YouTube channel, you can see she's been training with a lot of Taekwondo specialists, people who that's their whole shtick. Rose has been a 2-time strawweight champ, but we are in this flyweight moment now. We are well in it. We're coming off of a decision win against Miranda Maverick. I mean, we've carved our flyweight position now. And she was originally booked to be fighting Grasso, really interestingly enough. But here we are. With that Taekwondo style, we got this elite counter-striker energy. We're talking in and out. We're talking tall and long. We're talking jabby with the footwork. Durable, but only finished twice. She's so outdoorsy. As pictured, she has a garden, all about living on the land. She's been training a lot with Jillian as well. Always got to do that. And she comes from a very talented family in terms of actually a lot of things, but musically. So her mom is a professional pianist. I think her brother does that as well. And she plays piano very beautifully. It's a family thing. And if you didn't know, there's actually a documentary about Rose, since she is such an interesting person, that's called Thug Rose, Mixed Martial Artist. You can watch it on YouTube for free. And it premiered in 2022 at the Austin Film Festival. This fight is really, really fun because we have 2 Taekwondo specialists. I'm sure a lot of people are really excited to see this because Taekwondo is rare. It's not horribly rare, but you know what I mean. It's rare for that to be your foundation. And of course, Rose Namajunas is kind of one of our Taekwondo spokespersons because it's been her thing since she was a little baby. But same thing with Natalia Silva. It's her thing too. Been doing it for a while, and they both really bring that style into the octagon. So it could get a little awkward, could get a little weird, or it could be an incredible clash. Really, though, this fight is kind of strange. I wonder what you think about Silva taking the fight, given that she had just finished Grasso and she is not moving up when potentially she could have argued for a title shot. So is this a bit of a risk? Is all fighting a risk? I'd love to know what you think about this matchup and about this rebooking. It's a bit interesting. And of course about how you think this dual styling, this Taekwondo battle is really gonna look. Then we have a featherweight matchup with Arnold Allen and Jean Silva. We gotta say happy early birthday to Almighty, who is 31, almost 32. We really gotta wish this man well. I mean, he is cutting weight on his birthday. That is so sad. That is so sad and not fair. And he says that this is the first time that he's ever going to be cutting weight, actually on his birthday. So, that's just so sad. Wish him well. We got to send this guy some love. It's been a bit up and down for Arnold Allen in the UFC, but he always grew up wanting to be a martial artist. He's been locked into this idea since he was 12 years old. Classic pathway through Cage Warriors all the way to the UFC in 2015. And Arnold Allen started his UFC career off with a bang. I mean, to say the least. We're talking 10-0 to start it out, 5 consecutive stoppages, and after building such an incredible momentum, he was met with the top of the top and was not able to get it done against Holloway and Movsar. But even then, has never been finished. So Arnold Allen has been circulating in this top 5 area for a little bit because we had to deal with a bit of injury. So we have not seen our friend since his decision win against Gaethje, which was in July of 2024. So he did break his 2-fight skid, but then had to deal with injury. So the injury was kind of manifesting itself, but that shoulder subluxation didn't really get fixed or addressed until after that. So he's been out for a long time, very, very depressing. It's just such a mental struggle to be injured and then to think to yourself so many things, is my body ever going to feel normal again? Will I ever heal? It's so really, really tough. But here he is. We're so happy to see him back because Arnold Allen is such an exciting fighter. So much has changed. It's so crazy. So when he fought Gaethje, Giga was ranked number 10. Now he's fighting Jean Silva, ranked number 10. So this featherweight division has just been moving. We are talking moving, shifting like the tectonic plates, except for on turbo speed. That was a terrible analogy because the tectonic plates are slow. What was I thinking? Arnold, though, he's going to put on a great pace, and his wins are very split because he's looking for all the avenues. And he's going against Jean Silva. Lord, we know the Lord. Dana White's Contender Series is coming off of his only UFC loss to Diego Lopez, and boy, was that one-sided. So after a 13-fight win streak, he was completely dominated and succumbed to the TKO, and previously had only lost via decision. So that is a big moment. Lots. And he says that he is feeling a bit nervous when you check him out on his YouTube channel. He says, I'm nervous, and it's not even about my fight. It's that the path is very clear. The UFC wants me to be champion. So he thinks that the UFC is banking on him becoming champion, or is trying to push him in that direction. And I would say that I don't necessarily disagree, because he is still fighting up in the rankings. He has gained a really interesting reputation for his explosive power, very, very quick on the spring, and the power is powering, it's in there. I mean, bark, bark, bark. Yeah, so 94% finish rate for those wins, and it's knockouts usually, but we're talking anything, and that is a really high finish rate. Very, very scary stuff. He's got that look in his eye, again, bark, 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 and we love his explosiveness. This is a really critical fight. Arnold Allen finally making his return. It has been way too long. We are so excited to see him back. Let's say bye-bye to injury, bye-bye depression. Hello, cage. Jean Silva also in a really critical spot, so not only was it his first loss in the UFC, but his first time ever being finished. Pressure is still on. I know the hype is still there. He is still everybody's baby face. And I know that this fight is going to be so scrappy. Arnold Allen is going to go for it, and John Silva is going to be so strange, and it is going to be so strange. I picture this to be strange. I wonder if you think that there is a chance that this fight could end in a finish. Both these guys, not common. I know that John Silva's coming off of being finished, but again, no other time in his career, and Arnold Allen has yet to have met that fate, so I have a feeling it's going to be a crazy decision. Can Arnold Allen take some notes from Diego Lopes's performance and maybe try to put on a similar clinic? It's been a while since we've seen Arnold Allen, and that's what I'm most excited about, is that he is back. He is back and he's ready to cook. And then we have a heavyweight matchup, again in the top 5, with Waldo Cortes-Acosta and Derek Lewis. Waldo Cortes-Acosta has been absolutely after it. Like Salsa Boy, yeah, he is. He's been dancing through life. Dancing through life. Yeah, he has. So former baseball player, that's originally why he came to the US, and has come to MMA after getting a championship in LFA, and right now is coming off of a round 1 knockout over Shamel Gaziev, and he was a short notice villain. I mean, whatever it takes. Seriously, that's his motto, whatever it takes, whenever it takes. 2 performance of the nights in a row, 5 fights in 2025, and while he didn't win all of them, he won 4 of them. That's pretty impressive. So patient with the knockout, or chaotic if need be. And that's what we love about Waldo. He is just all over it. Leg kicks, takedown defense, the dynamic fighter of the year 2025, tied with Melquizael Costa, because he just proved to be so dynamic in so many ways. So he can do it all, right? He can fight patient. He can fight crazy. He can be the short notice villain. He can fight with one eye. He can do everything. He can do it all. I'm very excited for his future. I'm so excited at this activity. It's crazy that he fought just a couple of months ago and he's already back. Is he trying to fight 5 times this year as well? What's the plan? I mean, he's got a really, really dangerous test ahead of him. And our man, the Black Beast, Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is one of my favorite fighters ever. Obviously, he's one of the best personalities in the UFC. Just such an interesting person. So silly, so fun. He was born and raised amongst 7 siblings, is the second oldest, all by his single mom. And shout out to NOLA, shout out Louisiana. Derek Lewis had a bit of a, I'd say, an untraditional welcoming to fighting. He put it very plainly. It seemed like an easy way to make money. So while he wasn't getting into fights as a kid, wasn't exactly interested in it as a profession, but then while he was working for AAA, he was training and making it happen, and now here he is. Ever since 2014, he has been in the UFC and is coming right now off of a round 1 knockout of Tolson Teixeira. He shut that prospect train down, and he is, like I said, one of the best personalities in the UFC and one of the most dangerous men that is in the cage. I mean, we love him for his crazy power. We love him for his crazy antics. I remember when he took off his pants and it scared the daylights out of Dom. Dom was so afraid. I don't know why he was so scared. Like, what did he think was going to happen? But it was pretty funny. He was uncomfortable by Derek Lewis. He's going to do whatever. He's going to throw his cup into the crowd. He's going to say whatever. Yeah, he's gonna say that he was tired. He's gonna keep it real with you. Most knockouts in UFC history. So the power of Derek Lewis is, not only is it a reputation, it's legendary. So yeah, he's also a kicker, so he's gonna be chopping at those legs, kind of trick you, maybe falling forward a little bit. But the majority of his strikes are on the ground. So we're gonna chop those legs up, we're gonna hit you really hard, and then, when your body falls to the ground, he's gonna come and chase you after you're potentially already expired. And as he puts it, he's been looking to let his hair down. Hair down. You know what I mean. This is definitely Waldo Cortes-Acosta's scariest matchup. Well, I don't want to say definitely. It feels like it, given that Derek Lewis has some really legendary power, very frightening stuff. It's always a nail biter when we got Derek Lewis, and it was pretty cool to see Derek look so dominant against a young, tall up and comer. It was kind of a crazy fight, even that it was booked. I mean, if Towson had come on top, this would be a very different story right now. But Derek Lewis has been really holding his position, holding that line. He wants to make his way to the belt still, I imagine. So this should be pretty interesting. I imagine that Waldo will take a more tentative approach, looking to get pretty slick with the boxing because he's got some pretty cool slick moves, get some uppercuts in there. I don't think he's going to try to run down Derek Lewis because that's a pretty dangerous game. But again, with Waldo, he's so dynamic. You never know. That leads us to our co-main event, Sean O'Malley and Song Yadong. Shauna, the Montana man, his MMA journey kind of started quickly. So only 4 years or so into fighting MMA, he was already in the UFC. So pretty crazy, and definitely the regional circuit is a bit of a different level of competition. I remember Sean O'Malley's Dana White's Contender Series appearance, and I remember thinking, like everybody was thinking, this kid looks 16, and just to see how far he's come is so interesting. He's really developed into a bright and colorful personality that was in there all along. He didn't always have the colored hair and the face tattoos, but it was always inside of him. You know what I mean? Right now, he's on a 2-fight losing streak, but it's double Marab. It's double Marab. So he had defended his belt against Rera, and within that, avenged his only loss. But it was then with this Marab moment that we've got some really big friction, okay? So first appearance, not good. Second appearance, not good. Yeah, so, what do we do? We're back. We're back, and we're here against Song. He says that he wanted Iman, which I found to be interesting, but that's a whole nother thing. We know Sean O'Malley because he is very long, very tall, very ghouly, so he's got a counter-striking style. A lot of his wins are via finish. Very, very choosy with those shots. Knockouts and knockdowns, super frequent. That's supposed to be knockouts, 61% of his wins, but knockdowns as well. Colorful hair, colorful personality. He's a horse guy. We love to see it. We got so many horse guys on this card, per usual. Like I'm always saying, when it comes to horse guys, the UFC has got a abnormal amount compared to other sports. Horse guys and gals. One time he tried to be vegan. It didn't work out. And he's going against Song Yadong, the Kung Fu kid, who actually was kind of only briefly doing Kung Fu. It's kind of like an homage, like to Bruce Lee and such. But he has been in the UFC since 2017, right now coming off of an eye poke win against Henry Cejudo. So that's unfortunate. It is what it is, right? Previous decision loss to Petr Yan. Not exactly super active in that one, but, he's got it in him. We got 5 Performance of the Night bonuses, so Song Yadong is going to put on a show, okay? He's got it in him. Never been submitted, but not really on the submission train himself. Wins are very, very split between knockout and decision, and he is over being blonde. As we mentioned last time, it's a lot of work. Yes, it is. So the blonde used to be kind of like his signature, but not anymore. When you watch Song fight, you can see he throws hard. When he throws, it's like all that power is going into it. And in general, he's expressed that he can't really seem to stick to the game plan. That's something he struggled with, so he's looking to work on that. And he feels that he's really reaching his peak, which I agree. At 28 years old, I mean, it's crazy that his record is so thick, but he really is starting to fully come into his own, reaching that fighter peak, perhaps one step away from a title shot. This is a fight that we're really hoping we're going to see the old Sean O'Malley. I don't want to use the word old, but the Sean O'Malley that we didn't see in the fights against Marab. We're looking to see that guy who has got the sight, right? He can see those shots and they just appear, too fast for the human eye. We want to see the Sean O'Malley of past. And I'm really hoping for that. I'm hoping that especially because both these guys are not really in the subathon, not in Sublandia. It's just, haven't been visiting lately. Their passport hasn't been stamped there. Where am I going with that? They like to strike. Okay. They like to strike. Of course, we know this. And so I think that both of them are going to feel pretty like at home in this fight. So I think we can get a lot going. I'm hoping that both guys lean into that part of themselves that can be pretty active with the strikes. I feel like Song, it's all dependent. Again, like he says, can't seem to stick to the game plan. He's going to go where the win takes him. So I'm hoping the win takes us to a high volume fight. Both guys in a very critical spot. Similar-ish. I mean, they're both very, very close to the title. And now that Merab is not the champion, Sean O'Malley really we're trying to lock in on that, right? And then we have our co-main event, a battle for the lightweight interim belt. This belt has been vacated. Wee woo, red alert. And Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje are going to battle it out. Last time Paddy fought Michael Chandler and we thought to ourselves, what do they have in common? Tony Ferguson. Now he's fighting Gaethje, and what do they have in common? Michael Chandler. Okay. And if you ask Michael Chandler, the man who has faced both of these men, he's back in Gaethje. In his words, Gaethje is a whole different animal. Paddy the baddie, that's the Bratz doll next to him. That's like his baddie persona in my mind, right? Anyway, he's a BJJ black belt, second degree, and has taken his time to get to his UFC career, really carving the perfect pathway. Cage Warrior champion, was very dominant in there, and he made his way to the UFC in 2021 and has remained unbeaten. What made Paddy want to fight was when he watched Rich Franklin and Vitor Belfort at UFC 103, and it just inspired him. And I get it. Rich Franklin and Vitor Belfort, yeah, I mean, individually, but the fight itself, yeah, for sure. It makes sense. And that was when he was about 15, and he made his way here. So we are undefeated in the UFC, but it's hard to, kind of gloss over the Jared Gordon. So in 2022, he fought Jared Gordon, and he was awarded the unanimous decision win, but it was resulted in a lot of controversy. So many fans, many media outlets, fighters, etc. expressed the belief that Gordon had actually won that fight. And I felt that way at the time, but it was hard for me because I'm such a Jared Gordon fan that I felt like maybe it was my bias, but looks like a lot of media outlets were scoring the fight in favor of Gordon as well. Do we trust them? They're not judges, but I'd love to know what you think because yes, undefeated in the UFC, but that was definitely the fight that, a little controversy there. But Paddy has looked so good, with 5 performance bonuses. He's on a 9-fight win streak, and he is coming off of a very dominant performance of the night, knockout win over Michael Chandler. I mean, he just put it on, showed incredible striking, which was really, really cool to see. Really showed a very, courageous, dangerous side of him that wasn't always on display. Because he's very much so a sticky submitterton with 11 wins and just 1 loss. Again, we wrote BJJ black belt twice. It's almost like a sign. That's it's an error, but it's kind of a sign. He's a big choker. Never been knocked out as well. But, okay, asterisk, in his fight against Julian Erosa for the Cage Warriors belt, which, Paddy did win. He was defending his belt against Julian. But, oh my goodness, right after that fight was done, he leans over and he starts throwing up a very scary color vomit. Yes, just wow. So he kind of TKO'd himself in a way at the end there. Well, you know what I mean. So, but he made it. So he made it through. And this is his 4th fight against what I would describe as the old guard. So we don't want to call them old men because they're not all, but it's the old guard. And that's interesting. Very interesting. And because we're kind of keeping that show going, Gaethje is definitely of his senior, but not old men, old guard. Paddy definitely values taking a beating, which I do as well. I think I'm most impressed by people who can take a lot of damage and it doesn't destroy their spirit. And in fact, it can wake something up inside of them and they can come out on top after that. I think that is so impressive. To me, it's more impressive than being able to come out of a fight unscratched. He has been feeling super, super confident per usual. Here is a quote in terms of how he feels about his matchup with Justin Gaethje. I have so many different ways to finish him, and all he's got is an overhand right. It's just like fighting Chandler again. That's the way I'm looking at it. It's just like fighting Chandler. He's got one way to catch me, and I've got about 50 different ways to finish him. We all know what's going to happen. It's going to be unbelievable. Once I win this, it's just the start of the next journey. So I think that he respects Justin Gaethje because we be needing to respect Justin Gaethje. He deserves the respect, but he's confident, he's sassy. It's kind of how he is. He's a bit of a, he can be like that. He also has the Batty Foundation, which is a really cool charity that has the goal of improving men's mental health and also helping children who face food insecurity. So really like that because Paddy Pimblett is definitely somebody who's done a really good job leveraging himself on social media. So giving back to the world and the community, I find to be pretty admirable for somebody who has accumulated more wealth than some fighters. So shout out to the Batty Foundation. And he'll be going against Justin Gaethje, the highlight, a baddie himself. He's the boss. He is so boss. He went to college to get away from the mines, his words. And during his time at college, he found some incredible success as a NCAA Division I wrestler, now inducted into Northern Colorado Athletics Hall of Fame. That is so cool and so impressive. Shout out to him, and shout out to him for getting his bachelor's degree in human services along the way. He did not really grow up dreaming of being a fighter. Kind of something that just happened, and the wrestling was that transition into that. So he's been here since 2017, former BMF champ and former interim lightweight champ, so I'm sure that this feels a little strange to be doing the whole interim thing all again. And he is an all-around athlete, even golf. Golf is one of his passions, so he does a lot of that when he's not fighting, but he does all sorts of athletic things. He is coming off of, right now, a Fight of the Night win against Rafael Fiziev, and Fight of the Night is his lifestyle. That's why Justin is, accurately called the Highlight Gaethje, because his highlight reel is forever. We got 12 performance bonuses, and that is really insane to think out of his 9-5 record that 12 of those have performance bonuses. I mean, you're more likely to see him put on a show than not. Live by the sword, die by the sword. 73% of those wins via knockout, and the backflips, right? Not just a backflip, but backflip off the cage. Really scary stuff. I'm so afraid whenever I watch that, but look out for that. Bring back the slam KO. We don't have to go into details about that. And the thing about Justin is we watch him control the space well, but you never know, right? You never know. You never know what's going to happen with the space, but we do know that there's some deadly calf kicks to be wary of, and you don't want to engage with that. So here we are at the first ever main event of 2026, the first ever main event that is premiering on Paramount Plus, and it's going to be a fun one. There is no way that this fight is going to be a snoozy because Justin is the highlight, and I have faith that Paddy is going to bring a similar energy that he brought with Michael Chandler, which was quite the energy. Very brilliant, beautiful performance. And I am pretty excited for this one. I feel as though things are pretty split in terms of who people think is going to come out on top. Both of these guys have a pretty powerful reputation. I really think that Justin Gaethje is going to be a very unique test for Paddy Pimblett. Not to say that Michael Chandler isn't a tough, scary, gritty, nasty, but I think I agree with Michael Chandler that Justin Gaethje is a different animal, this of which we have seen. So we haven't seen Paddy in the UFC been dragged to very deep waters. I mean, it was really amazing what he did against Michael Chandler, but perhaps with some additional adversity, something else might come out. I do suspect something good will come out, especially since he values being able to take a beating. But Justin Gaethje, very unique threat. Really excited about this one, and I'm pretty excited to see how even it seems that people are kind of perceiving. It seems like there's not really a consensus on how this one is going to go. I know I don't have a consensus. I really believe both these guys have what it takes to get it done. And truth be told, they both do have quite a wealth of experience. They both have had a lot of fights under their belt. Justin Gaethje has seen a much, thicker, weedier mess in terms of the UFC, for sure. But both coming in with a lot of experience and a lot of skill. So that is our main event. We have so many good fights on this card. It is so unfortunate that we did lose Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes, which was definitely the fight I was most looking forward to. But thankfully, this card is so stacked that there are so many good fights that could, as we said, be their own main event. Let me know what fight you're most looking forward to. That is a really, really tough pick. I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know. I think maybe the main event, just because the lightweight pieces are really, really moving, and I wonder how the world will react if Patty is the champion. I do feel a little bit annoyed on Justin's behalf that he is fighting for an interim belt, but is what it is. So let me know about all the things, everything. What fight you're looking forward to, all the drama, the controversies, the Montreal screw job, just let me know, whatever it is. Here is our song of the week to get us amped up, fun and excited. I am so happy to be back, so excited that we are back in the swing of things. I look forward to your fun and cool and thoughtful engagements, and just let me know all of the things. I think that is all I got. This is going to be a bit of a long one because we got a really stacked card, and perhaps maybe I've just been building up a little bit of excitement while being on hiatus. Hope you had a fabulous end of your year, and welcome to 2026. I think that is all I got. Peace out.